This is lesson 3.3a. We're going to be evaluating expressions. I just want to remind you that an expression is multiple numbers and at least one operation with no equals sign. So if we look at any of these examples down here, 5, 6, 7, they're all expressions because there's more than one number, more than one operation, or at least one operation, and there's no equal sign. So the key concept says that the order of operations is a set of rules used to evaluate expressions that include more than one operation. So let's look at the steps of the order of operations, and then there is an acronym that you may remember for next year that we will follow to help us to solve these expressions or evaluate these expressions. So step 1 says to evaluate inside grouping symbols, such as parentheses or brackets. So the first letter of the acronym is going to be P. It stands for parentheses or brackets. Step 2 says to evaluate powers. So another word for powers were exponents. So step 2 is going to be to evaluate those exponents. Also, you should have your notebook open, labeled to 3.3a, and I want you to be writing this. So far, we have P, E. Next step, the third step is going to be to multiply or divide from left to right. So I'm going to write that. Multiply or divide from left to right. And I draw a little arrow there to help us remember that we'll be working from left to right. And we will talk about what that means. And then the fourth step is going to be to add or subtract again from left to right. So you might recognize that this is an acronym. We say it PEMDAS. So PEMDAS and order of operations are the same thing. PEMDAS helps us remember how to follow the order of operations. So I want to make sure that you have this written in your notebook as the acronym PEMDAS, written exactly how you see it on the screen. And then I also want you to write what the letters in that acronym stands for. So our first step here is parentheses. Second step, exponents. Third step, multiplication or division. Fourth step, addition or subtraction. So please press pause if you need to write this out. And I also want to share this song that one of my sixth grade math, or my only sixth grade math teacher, shared with me when I was in sixth grade, and it still helps me to solve the order of operations today. So the song goes, first step, parentheses, which parentheses or brackets. Second step, exponents. And she would make this little sound effect. She would go, exponents. Third step, multiplication or division from left to right. Left to right. Fourth step, addition or subtraction from left to right. Left to right. So I still hear that song in my head as I solve these problems, and I think that it will be helpful for you to be exposed to that song, and hopefully it will help you to remember the little parts, like what the exponent means, that we're supposed to be solving things from left to right. So I'm going to sing it one more time, and then we're going to start solving some of these problems. So first step, parentheses. Second step, exponents. Third step, multiplication and division from left to right. Left to right. Fourth step, addition or subtraction from left to right. Left to right. So now let's start by solving some questions. We're going to start with number 5. In your notebook, I want you to rewrite 5 squared plus, open parentheses. Actually, we're not going to start with that one because of we can. There's decimals. That's fine. We can do it. 6.7 minus 3.1. The decimals would be the same thing as whole numbers. We're using calculators now. Even if we didn't have calculators, we'd be able to do it, but we just have to be careful with how we plug things in. So I rewrote our expression here for number 5. 5 squared plus, open parentheses, 6.7 minus 3.1, close parentheses. Now I also want you to write on your page PEMDAS. First step, parentheses. Second step, exponents. Third step, multiplication or division from left to right. Fourth step, addition or subtraction from left to right. So let's follow the order of operations here. What's our first step going to be? Our first step is going to be our parentheses. So let's look at the parentheses. 6 7/10 minus 3 1/10. Well, everyone should have their calculators out. What is 6.7 minus 3.1? I got 3.6. So I'm going to rewrite that. Underneath, you should notice how we made a little caret there. It's like a reverse caret of what we did with our prime factorization. So I solved what was in the parentheses. I no longer need those parentheses, but I'm going to bring down the rest of the expression. I'm going to rewrite the rest of the expression. So we started with 5 squared plus 6.7 minus 3.1. I was able to evaluate those parentheses, the first step of my PEMDAS, and then I brought down the rest of the problem. So now we have 5 squared plus 3.6. Well, what's the next step in PEMDAS? What does the E stand for? E stands for exponents. So next we're going to evaluate the exponent. Well, 5 squared. We just did exponents. What does that mean? 5 squared means we're going to be doing 5 times 5. Remember that the multiplication dot means the same thing as the multiplication cross. So 5 squared is 5 times 5. I'm going to evaluate that. 5 times 5 is 25. And my next step is to rewrite the rest of the expression or bring the rest of the expression down so that it's in the same spot. So I evaluated my parentheses. I can cross it off, bring it down. I evaluate my exponent, cross it off, bring the rest down. Now I'm left. Now let's see what's my next step on my PEMDAS. Do I have any multiplication or division here? Nope. Cross it off. Last step, addition or subtraction. 25 plus 3.6 is 28.6. So when I evaluate my expression, my answer is 28 6/10. Okay, so next I want you to write number 7 in your notebook. It's really important that you're writing these questions in your notebook and that we're solving them together. So here we have a longer expression. We have open parentheses 1.5 minus 0.5 squared, close parentheses, divided by open bracket, open parentheses, 3 plus 2, close parentheses, times 2, close bracket. Wow. Okay. So, first step, write PEMDAS on my page. That way I can follow the steps. Okay. First step, parentheses. We're going to be looking in the parentheses. So let's look within this first set of parentheses. I see subtraction, right? 1.5 minus 0.5. And then I see an exponent squared. What do you think we should do first, subtraction or the exponent? Well, within the parentheses, we still have to follow that PEMDAS. So we're going to do the exponent first. We're going to say 0.5 to the second power. That means 0.5 times 0.5. Write that so that you make sure that you're putting the right thing in your calculator. Well, what's 0.5 times 0.5? I got 25 hundredths. So you're going to rewrite that and then bring the rest of the expression down. In the parentheses, divided by open bracket, open parentheses, 3 plus 2, close parentheses, times 2, close bracket. Okay, we're still going to be working in those same parentheses. So 1.5 minus 0.25. Put it in your calculator. What did you get? 1.5 minus 0.25. I got 1.25. That takes care of that parenthesis. And let's bring the rest down rewriting it carefully so we don't forget any steps. So notice how each time I solve a part of the expression, I'm only solving one part. I'm still bringing the rest down, and each step, each line of our expression is getting smaller and smaller as we solve parts of it. So now I have 1 and 25 hundredths divided by open bracket, open parentheses, 3 plus 2, close parentheses, times 2, close bracket. So now we have to look inside that other bracket. I'm still not done with all my parentheses and brackets. So when we have brackets and parentheses, we start by looking inside those parentheses, inside the bracket. So what's 3 plus 2? 3 plus 2 is 5. Write that 5, bring down the rest, times 2. So those brackets can now become parentheses because I don't have any other parentheses in there. And let's bring down the rest of the problem. 1 and 25 hundredths divided by, open parentheses, 3 times 2. Notice how big and how clear I'm writing this. It's a little bit shaky because it's written on the screen, but my numbers are big, clear. You can tell the steps. We can tell what we have to be doing. So let's look at the PEMDAS still. Am I done with PEMDAS yet? Nope. So let's finish up with those parentheses. Okay, what's in my parentheses? 5 times 2. 5 times 2 is 10. Write it. I can cross it off so I don't get confused. Divided by, bring down the rest. 1.25 divided by 10. So now let's look at my PEMDAS. I took care of all the parentheses. Done. Were there any exponents? Excuse me. Well, no, only those exponents from the beginning, which I took care of that within the parentheses. Done. Next step, multiplication or division from left to right. Well, yes, I have some division here. So let's put it in our calculator. That's the only operation we have left. 1 and 25 hundredths divided by 10. I'll be moving that decimal once to the left. My answer is 0 and 125 thousandths. Multiplication or division, I took care of that from left to right. Last step here, addition or subtraction. There is none, so we're done. Okay, you should have all of these steps written in your notebook. I want us to try one last question so we can really look at why I keep saying multiplication or division from left to right. So let's look at number 9. Write number 9 in your notebook. So I have 6 plus 4 times 5 divided by 2 minus 8 times 1 and 5 tenths. So I'm also going to rewrite my PEMDAS. I don't like the green, actually. That green blends in with the Sava screen. Let's do purple. So I'm going to write PEMDAS. P, E, M and D next to each other. Addition and subtraction next to each other. So first step, parentheses. Do we have any parentheses here? Nope. Cross it off. Second step, exponents. Do we have any exponents here? Nope. Cross it off. Third step, multiplication or division, but here's the key part, from left to right. So why do I keep saying that, from left to right? Well, when we look at this question, look, we have multiplication, we have division, we have multiplication again. How am I going to know which to do first? Because if I do it out of order, I'm going to get the wrong answer. So that's why I keep saying from left to right. So we read from left to right. We're going to do, right, we read from left to right. That's how I read the expression, from left to right. So reading from left to right, we're going to do the multiplication or division that we see first. So the first multiplication or division that I see is this 4 times 5. Well, 4 times 5 is 20. And then rewrite the rest of the expression, no skipping parts, very carefully, making sure I'm not forgetting anything. So I did some multiplication, but we have more multiplication and division. So again, here's the key part, multiplication or division from left to right. I have division and I have multiplication. Even though PEMDAS has multiplication, even though PEMDAS has multiplication and then division, that's the key part, is how I say from left to right. So I read from left to right. I'm going to be doing my 20 divided by 2 first. 20 divided by 2. Oh no! Okay, let me rewrite that quick and get us back to the same spot. Okay, so my next step is to do this 20 divided by 2, because when I'm reading from left to right, 20 divided by 2, the division is before that multiplication. Rewrite the rest. 6 plus 10 minus 8 times 1.5. So I did my there were no parentheses, there were no exponent. So far I've done some multiplication, last step, multiplication and division, but we have to finish up all of it. So next step, we're going to do that 8 times 1.5. And I got 12. So write down that 12, bring down the rest. 6 plus 10 minus 12. Okay, multiplication and division is all done. Next, we have addition and subtraction from left to right. So we read from left, we're going to solve our math from left to right. 6 plus 10 is 16. Bring down that minus 12. Let's finish it up. 16 minus 12 is 4. My answer is 4. My addition and subtraction is all done.